Hello Ice and Fire nerds, this is Chris and welcome back to another House of the Dragon video. I was about to say Game of Thrones. Anyway, HBO has now released the first official photos of some of the cast of House of the Dragon. So this is really exciting. I guess this is kind of what they were doing the other day as they were filming, probably taking some of these shots here. These are now official. So officially the first look at House of the Dragon. So first here, I'll run through the pictures and just talk about them for a second, but I want to talk about, as I mentioned before, in the last video I did on the Dance of the Dragons and the first look when we saw the leaked photos. I want to talk about one character at a time here. So in this video, we're going to talk about Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, going to be a major player, otherwise known as Lord of the Tides from Driftmark of House Velaryon. It's going to be really interesting to see this play out on screen as opposed to just reading the books, how well they stick to the source material. I think they'll stick to it fairly closely. So first, let's run through the pictures and let's talk about the Sea Snake. So the first one here we saw from the leaked images, but these are the official ones now. We have Daemon Targaryen and Rhaenyra Targaryen. Daemon played by Matt Smith and Rhaenyra Targaryen played by Emma Darcy. You can see the detail in the outfits here as far as Rhaenyra goes especially. This is how she's described in the books, always wearing jewelry, you know, the black and red of House Targaryen, that type of thing. I was kind of iffy about the Matt Smith thing. He's kind of a, I don't know, weird jawline, but they are chiseled jawlines as described by the Valyrians, as far as Valyrian blood, Targaryens, etc. So it seems to work out pretty good. And the next picture here, we have some more major players as far as the Dance of the Dragons. And remember, I did a Dance of the Dragons overview already. I'll leave that link to that video in the description below, so we won't get into the details of the dance here. So anyway, the next picture we have Alicent Hightower, played by Olivia Cook, as well as Otto Hightower, her father, played by Rhys Ifans, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and he is the Hand of the King before the Dance of the Dragons. And last but not least, in the third and final picture of these official first images from House of the Dragon, we have the man himself, Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, Lord of the Tides. A really interesting look here, looks really cool to me. You got the dreadlocks going on with the Valyrian color hair, being of Valyrian descent, but he also has dreadlocks. I think that's a really good idea for being essentially a captain of a ship. He was on the sea all the time. That's what he's known for, so it makes sense that his hair would be in dreadlocks. So I think this is a really cool look for him, and he's going to be a major player in House of the Dragon. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more in depth about Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake. So Corlys himself took this sea at a young age, first crossing the narrow sea to Pentos when he was with his uncle when he was only 6 years old, and he fell in love with the damn sea. He would make several more voyages over the years over the narrow sea as a member of the crew, and then he became a captain himself at the young age of 16 when he sailed a ship called the Cod Queen from Driftmark to Dragonstone. He would then go on to sail to Old Town, Lannisport, Lyce, Tyros, Pentos. You get the idea, all over the damn place. He sailed to the Summer Isles, to Bravos, Eastwatch by the Sea, Hardhome, all these places north, south, east, and west. And he even tried to go beyond the wall to the Shivering Sea, but he failed to find a proper route. Then Corlys Velaryon built a ship he designed himself, and he called it the Sea Snake, hence his name. On the Sea Snake, he went on many great voyages across to Essos, and on one of his first voyages, he sailed all the way to Qarth and Yeti, and then he would return with treasures like silk, spice, jade, etc., and really multiplying the wealth of his house, becoming one of the most powerful houses in Westeros, even richer than the Lannisters. When he sailed over to Asshai in his second voyage, Corlys also saw a ship docked in the harbor that he believed to have been the sun chaser of Alyssa Farman. Now, I've mentioned Alyssa Farman before because she's the one who first actually sailed west of Westeros, and Corlys Velaryon saw her in Asshai, meaning she made it around the world. Now, the interesting link to Game of Thrones, as far as the modern era of the story anyway, is that she's the one who stole 3 dragon eggs that ended up in Essos, and of course later will become wedding gifts to Daenerys Targaryen. So I never understood what the whole thing with Arya was about sailing west of Westeros like it had never been done before. Anyway, back to the Sea Snake, he would head across the narrow sea many times and bring back gold, more ships, spices, elephants, who all died by the way, bring all this shit back to Driftmark and become the richest house in Westeros, as I mentioned before, and then he became what's known as the Lord of the Tides when his grandfather died, so he was now a Lord of House Velaryon. Then the Sea Snake would later marry the 16-year-old princess Rhaenys Targaryen, the only child of Prince Aemon Targaryen, who in turn was the eldest son of King Jaehaerys I Targaryen, the Old King or the Good King. He and Rhaenys had a couple kids, his daughter Laena and a son Laenor, but they got passed up in succession arguments a couple different times, so he was kind of pissed off at House Targaryen for a while, so he teamed up with Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, as we talked about before, played by Matt Smith, And essentially they would work together to eventually conquer the Stepstones, and later Daemon Targaryen would name himself King of the Stepstones and the Narrow Sea. So the Sea Snake is very experienced at war and sea battles and would be a major player in the Dance of the Dragons. And later on, when King Viserys I started talking about marrying off Rhaenyra Targaryen, Viserys' heir, which of course caused the Dance of the Dragons in the first place, they eventually agreed on Corlys' son, Laenor. So Laenor and Rhaenyra were later married, and they had a few children as well, a boy named Jacaerys, and 2 more sons, Lucerys and Joffrey. Yes, the name Joffrey. So that's the overview of his life leading up to the Dance of the Dragons, and of course later on, as I mentioned in the previous video that I'll link in the description below about the overview of the whole entire Dance of the Dragons, which we'll see in this show, King Viserys Targaryen died, and of course he named Rhaenyra his heir, but Queen Alicent Hightower, who we see in these pictures again as well, decided her son should be king, so they went ahead and skipped over the whole heir thing and crowned Aegon II Targaryen, which of course would start the Dance of the Dragons, and Corlys Velaryon would take the side of Rhaenyra Targaryen, opposing Aegon II, and would sit on her so-called Black Council, the Blacks and the Greens, that's what they were called during the Dance of the Dragons, and would be a major player giving the Blacks superiority at sea. Anyway guys, as usual, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you more excited about House of the Dragon now that you see the official photos? Or are some of you still like, nah, I don't know, Game of Thrones ended poorly? As usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon, and a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers. And if you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like, comment, and a share. And of course, be sure to subscribe to get everything, and click that damn notification bell so you're notified when I drop a new video. Let's turn this channel around and get to that magical 100K that we were supposed to in Game of Thrones Season 7. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.